What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
So if you have Netflix, there's a movie out, Polar, based on a graphic novel from Dark Horse. Just hyper violence to its finest. If you like Smoking Aces or Crank, it has that kind of similar aesthetic, kind of hyper violence, kind of oversaturated look. Very similar in a lot of ways to like John Wick or Jason Bourne, where it's kind of like, a retired assassin, where former boss is trying to put you away because you know too much. So it's the assassin versus everybody else. And so very similar in a lot of ways to like John Wick if it was more hyper stylized and more of like a Crank kind of way. But yeah, watching this, I just 100% didn't know it was based on a comic, but it has that comic book feel, just the character and the way it's shot and the way the action happens. Like so much of this it really did feel like, if not like directly based on a comic book, that the director is a fan of comics, or it was inspired by comics in a lot of ways, similar to like how Crank feels like it's a video game movie, even though it's not based on a video game. But the director's done only a few movies. Spun from 2002, if you saw that, kind of a underground kind of cult classic kind of movie about just degenerates and meth. But not fun, but a good movie. From what I remember enjoying it when I saw it. Where there's like a pocket of time where like Salt and Sea and Spun, there was a bunch of movies that came out about meth, and this was one of them, and it was definitely good. And then he's done like hundreds of music videos. So the director is primarily known for doing music videos, which as far as an aesthetic. Michael Bay came from music, did a lot of music videos, and it kind of hyper stylized, not really worried about experimenting with the aesthetic of the film, using like just big choices with adjusting color and like just the overall look of it. Very much like Domino was kind of like that too. So it's in that mix of movies. So if you're into that, then you'll love Polar. I enjoyed it. I thought just like the fact that it reminded me a lot of when John Wick came out. It's like this movie exists. Like it's amazing that they not only that they made it, but it turned out good. Because a lot of times it doesn't turn out good, and I kind of hope this turns into a franchise. I would not be sad to watch this actor, this dude, what's his name? Mads Mikkelsen, fucking amazing as the lead, Duncan Vizla, just so good as that kind of, old grizzled vet. It's just a badass movie. It's a badass movie. It's just, I don't know what to tell you. This is not a sentimental film. This is not a dialogue heavy. It's great. All the casting is great. The bad guy who's like kind of the spoiled rich kid kind of, but he's fat and has like this stupid haircut. Like it's just great. Like every part of this is just so great. Like I said, like Crank, like Smoking Aces. If you like those movies or those kinds of movies, then it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer to pop on Netflix and watch Polar. But I hope that they do more. I don't know how they would do it. I mean, the story itself, it's nothing special. Guy trying to retire, then other assassins are sent after him to try and shut him up. Meanwhile, somebody that he's close to gets taken, and he has to. It definitely has that feeling of just like being to the lowest point that you could ever be. Like there's a point in this movie where he gets captured and he's tortured, and it's like, kind of and I'm sure it's just the trait in a lot of comics where it's like they're at their worst point of their lowest of lows without being eliminated or dying, and they're able to come back and overcome. And it's just, the way that this movie does it with how it's so hyper stylized, and it's just brutal. So much of this is brutal. The deaths are brutal, the torture is brutal, but because it's clearly a comic book, the action movie genre, it handles it well. It's not like it's a movie that could easily fall into just shitty B movie, where it's like, well, you're gauging it on the action movie scale, where it's like, it's okay for an action movie. It's like, well, I guess this would be at the elite of like action movie or even comic book movie, man. I mean, I enjoy it, man. This one, Hotel Artemis, another kind of in that John Wick kind of aesthetic. This one's not necessarily as close to that, but still just that feeling of, comic book movies, but they're not superheroes. I'm just kind of tired of superheroes. There's one moment in this movie where, it's almost like the Matrix moment where it's like, we need guns. We need all the guns. And it's just like, it's like, I need all the guns, or you need to take all the guns. And there's a scene where he has these, a bunch of laser guided machine guns, and he attaches all the lasers to his fingertips. So there's a scene where, he's spraying these lasers, out across all the bad guys that are in front of him, and then they just get all mowed down with machine guns. So spoilers. Spoilers if you haven't seen that. But that's like aside from him surviving all that he survives, that's like the most comic booky. I'm like, without a doubt, that was like either heavily inspired or directly taken from a comic book. And of course it was. I wouldn't mind checking out the comic, see how much, how deep it goes in, how many stories are written with this guy. I don't know if it would have the same impact on me, but maybe I'll stop in at a comic book store and check out the Polar graphic novel. But the movie's a lot of fun. Highly recommend it. It just, man, it's just one of those gems where when you come across it, and it's, I haven't heard anybody talking about it, but it is on Netflix. So everybody has Netflix. So the potential for everybody to see it is there. And I hope everybody does, because if you're into those kinds of movies, it's a fun one. And I'm definitely looking forward to John Wick 3. Saw the trailer for that in front of a movie recently. And it's just, I'm just happy with the second one. I loved, almost as much, if not just as much as the first one. So the third, where the second one leaves off and the third one's going to start up, it just seems like it's going to be nonstop craziness. And, I don't know. I love Keanu. I love Keanu Reeves, man. He's done some stinkers, but God damn it. The Matrix and this, what are you going to do? You can't fuck with the dude. He's just, and, Bill and Ted's. You want to talk about range. That's it. That's it for this episode. I hope everybody has a great day. New episodes of this episode, new episodes of the show come out every day. Subscribe everywhere podcasts are found in both audio and video form. Binge the full week of shows all at once over at patreon.com/inspireddisorder. inspireddisorder.com for all of my artwork that you can go buy with your money and help support me so I can keep doing this show and everything else that I love to do. Over at inspireddisorder.com, that's there. At Ray Taylor for me on all social media. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!